I got my second planting of fruit trees, and I want to share some success that I had from the first planting that I received 3 weeks ago. These trees arrived with no leaves, a couple roots, not 100% of the roots, and now these same trees that had no leaves on them 3 weeks ago already have fruit. Full of blossoms. So I need to do something about this now. And this is my LSU gold fig. Man. First things I'm gonna do is go ahead and get this somewhat full. While I'm doing the planting holes in the front, I'm gonna have these roots soaking in water right quick. If I can get this knot out. God. Okay. Wow, these are like some really mature looking trees as far as the root system. Now a lot of roots are missing, so I'm not going to expect all of the vigor, but we have what we have, so it's going to grow according to what we have. So let's get these soaking in water so they can start to bounce back from the shipping process. All right, so those can soak in there, because I don't know how long they've actually been in transit, but they've been in transit with no water, basically. I know those wood chips are soggy, and that kind of buys them time during the process, but I like to do this to kind of, if you went a couple days without water, you would appreciate this, right? So a couple things to keep in mind is that my fruit trees are about 10 feet apart. These are all semi-dwarf trees, meaning that at full production, they will be 10 to 15 feet tall, depending on spacing and pruning. I plan on keeping my trees around 8 feet, just so they'll be easy to manage and easier to harvest all of the fruit without getting a ladder or trying to knock fruit down. And if I need to cover the trees, I can cover 8 feet easier than I can cover 10 to 15 feet. High trees attract a lot of birds, and you don't want birds on your fruit trees. In a backyard application, I've seen trees as close as 4 feet apart. And you can actually have trees, multiple trees in the same hole. It's your backyard, you can do what you want to do, but with the amount of space I have, I chose to go with 10 feet. So if you see what I have going on with the spacing, I have this cherry tree lined up with this plant. I got it kind of lined up, so I'm gonna do the same thing with this plant, lining it up here. Is it going to be 100% exact? No, but because I already know about some things in this yard that's not 100% exact, I've learned to get over it and not lose sleep. So what I've been doing is, when I find a spot that I feel like I can eyeball lining it up, yeah, do this. Nothing crazy deep. So that is the middle. So what I want to do is work my way outside of that. So I come out and I just kind of dig a circle around it. And I know this is like, if you look up other tree planting videos, this might not look, this might not look how the same that they do it, but this has worked for me, so this is what I'm doing. All right. So now we got our hole, and we have our native soil in there. Not too bad. But basically the thought process is I'm going to turn this stuff upside down and use that to lay on top of the roots like this. So I'll get the tree and get my mulch and kind of show exactly what I mean by that. I can make it through there. All right, we're gonna get the cherry tree out of here. Oh man. Wow, okay. That's it right here. Nice. All right, this is what we got. I see some long roots on here, a couple pine shavings, but what is, hold on, 1, 2, 3. Wow, did they give me, this is what? I thought this was, wow, this is 2, 4, 6. 6 different types of cherries on here. I only paid for 4. I ain't complaining. There go Ben. All right, so what I do, to start with, I break some of this off, get some dirt for this to kind of sit on. Ain't gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be what it's gonna be. All right, and when you water this in real good, this won't be as much of an issue. Actually, I'm gonna do this, get it up higher, because that's part of my method here. Get it up higher and get the roots and spread them out, because you want them to go in different directions. You don't want them to spiral. Also, if you look here, we have a graft union. This is the rootstock of a more disease resistant, possibly older, more vigorous growing tree, and this is the this is what the grafts are grafted onto. Let's see, now, I think they would tell me, maybe not, but this has a name too as far as what type it is. But all of it works together to help you get fruit faster and keep your tree alive longer without it being taken over by disease. But you can see what I'm doing here, flipping this upside down to kind of mitigate some of the grass competition, right? But it also anchors down the tree a little bit as well. But yeah, my point is to not bury this graft union, because you're going to get sprouts coming off of this that have nothing to do with this. And it's a totally different type of cherry. It might not even be a cherry, I don't know. But its job is to provide disease resistance and plant vigor, really, not to give you cherries directly from it. So I don't know what I would get from this. So I don't want this growing sprouts. So I'm keeping it above the ground. See, a lot of times people bury the graft union and they have these suckers shooting up. So here is a small peach tree, maybe 4 feet tall, probably 30 peaches on it. That little, let's see if I can get this to focus. That little thing right there with a tail on it is a peach. So I have to thin some of these out. But for example, I've already cut them, but you can see where these little peach tree shoots try to grow below this graft union. This is a totally different type of peach tree that I don't want. So if I'd have let these grow, I'll get some other peaches that's probably not as good. And that's all because the graft union, well, the variety of peach below the graft union wants to grow its own peaches. So you can't let that happen. So that's something you got to stay on top of, because it's going to take away nutrients from the tree you do want. So, and get that grass right there too. Yeah. Do this. So this is kind of like a rough planting right here, right? And now you have a couple of these long roots out here. I'm not gonna just throw that in there and let it coil up. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna carefully dig into here. And stuff that root in this slot right here. There we go. That way I'm getting a head start on my surface root action out here. Might do the same thing here. Hold on. Carefully. Ooh, got away with it. Bury that. So this is kind of the start here. All right. And the only reason I'm doing it this way is because I have this stuff. If I didn't have this, don't do it the way I'm doing. Because my whole goal is kind of to plant the tree almost on top of the ground, not all the way in the hole. Right? So let's go ahead and dump that on. Actually, before dumping that on, I'm gonna do some watering in, because there's definitely some air pockets under there. You want to run the soil through down into those air pockets. That definitely helps. All right, now let's put our mulch on. It's gonna look ugly for a second, especially until I put this border around it that I need to add to all of these trees. I don't think that's enough. All right, that should be fine. All right, then you come through and spread it around. Lost my slip. All right. Might need to add some more. We'll see. Hold on. All right, time to get dirty in here to get it how I want. So you don't want these wood chips up against the trunk like that, because that'll create a environment for fungal issues and diseases and stuff like that. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Also, if you have someone weed eating in your yard, don't let them weed eat next to your trees, chopping off this young bark. That will also introduce diseases. Learned that the hard way. Learned that the hard way. Set my fruit trees over there a year back. This year is the first time I'm getting fruit from them. That's decent, right? That look pretty good. And what I'm gonna do is water this in again. But what I really want to show you guys is the trees do like this stuff. So let's take a look and dig into some of this on the other trees that's been there for about a month. All right, as you can see right here, that is a new root formed by this 3-in-1 plum tree. But yeah, that's a new root right into this compost mulch stuff. So I'm gonna cover that back up. But I just wanted to prove that the trees do benefit from this. And like I said, these only have been here maybe a month. I have to go back and count the exact time. Let's take a look at some trees I've already planted this way that I had shipped in, bare root. As you can see, I already have some blossoms. Not on all varieties, but this is a frost peach. And this has been planted good enough to maintain these blossoms, and I could get 1 or 2 off of this plant. So same deal here, got a couple blossoms there, one right there, and this variety is Harco nectarine, so I could get a few nectarines in the first year of planting. My 3-in-1 pluot, you gotta look really closely, but that is one right there. If I can get this thing to focus for me. Right there. And that variety is Flavor Queen. So this is also in its first year. But not least, these cherries over here. I got a nice little handful of cherries on a first year planted tree. You know, I just planted these a couple weeks ago. These didn't come in a pot with dirt already in it. It came just like the roots I showed you on the new trees. So first year, getting a handful of fruit. So this is how I planted it. And I think this is a good idea. And provides drainage, nutrition. Doesn't have to fight against this yard grass as much. And it just looks like it gives them a good start. So it's not that I'm so great that the fruit buds decided to come on board when I planted the trees. No, these trees arrived with fruit buds already on them. My goal is to put the trees in a position to take off from where they stopped when the tree was dug up. This tree was shipped here with no soil, no leaves, and a lot of roots had to be cut off so it can be shipped. So when you plant it, the tree needs to be happy to catch back up to where it was when it was starting the bud process. So, but if you don't get fruit in the first year, that's not a bad thing. Actually, if you take the advice of people who own orchards or have way more experience than me, they're going to tell you not to let the tree fruit in the first year. Now, those people already have a lot of fruit trees that give them fruit. They're not a backyard gardener, so they're not worrying about missing out. Now, for me, I'm going to tell you, if you got a shot, try to get fruit the first year. You know, we have gardens. We want to see action. This is not our livelihood, so we just want to see something, right? So I'm going to tell you to go for it.